and welcome to another episode of Daily Market Mastery with me, Christian Rauchenwald, on this beautiful, what do we have, Thursday. I hope you all had a great week. Before we jump into today's episode, as always, the usual disclaimer applies. Everything that I share in this live stream / video is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions, and make your own decisions. Last but not least, as well, everything that I'm using in the stream, so the charting software, broker, the strategy I'm following, and so on, everything is linked down in the description below. And I recommend the one thing that you should check out is actually the Elliott Wave principle. You can read the book online for free when you use the link in the description down below, or you can, like I did, order yourself a physical copy. Now, with that out of the way, let's hide this and jump there. And let's take a look at what we've got for today. So first of all, let's start what we have in the portfolio. It looks like we have a positive start in the day, although yesterday it also looked like that, and then we lost a little bit throughout the rest of the day. Yeah, we still hold the $30 or negatively hold the $30 call options in GameStop for our 500 shares that we have somewhere here. Yeah, like chances are that they will expire out of the money, which means I could just get to pocket the roughly $250 in premium for this week, which isn't bad. But it's also still possible if we crack the, what did we have, GameStop, if we crack the 26.69, which it looks like there is a chance that we might actually finish the week above 30, in which case I still pocket the $250 premium, but lose the 500 shares as well, which would be okay because the next week we would write put options again. So far about that. GameStop, not a lot changed since yesterday. There was the strong opening, and I already mentioned yesterday, in my opinion, the crucial point is if we cross 26.69, then we would have some kind of confirmation that, at least in my opinion, the downwards movement is finished, and we will slowly go higher. I might be wrong. As said, my opinion, not the guarantee. Either way, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, other than that, I mentioned yesterday that I also got some shares for COS. We also bought some SPWR. I increased my position in Green Wave Technology. I explained in yesterday's episode why and what I expect from it. Now, we're going to check real quick the statements for yesterday. Just a moment until I have it open. Yesterday was the 10th, view the statement. So, and what we want to check is basically from the stock lending program, or whatever it's called here. It's interactive broker. It's called, where is it? Stock yield enhancement program. We can see that surprisingly, none of my GameStop shares apparently were lent out yesterday. So apparently only 90 of my GWAF shares, so not even all of them. So yesterday we still had theoretically 100. The other 100 should only settle now, or maybe they already counted, but only they were lent out at an insane 50.5% fee rate. And the cost shares were lent out at 15%. So surprisingly, however, we see that yesterday my GameStop shares on loan actually got returned, which means that probably there are enough shares being lent out and available for shorting. And before that, if you check yesterday's episode, you will see that before that I actually had a net fee rate of 0.15% or so on the GameStop shares, which would point towards a lot of shares being available for shorting, or not a lot of demand for shorting. Which of the two it is, we don't know, but it points in that direction. Yeah, however, for GWAF, we're obviously happy about earning a decent interest rate on our shares lent out while we hold them long term. Makes me also want to wonder if I really want to directly register them, or if I'll just enjoy the high interest rate, at least for a couple of months or so, because that over time also sums up then to a decent extra profit, assuming that the shares themselves also increase in value, or could compensate for a potential loss if the shares decline further. Yeah, so interestingly enough, SPWR, which has been talked about in the short squeeze subreddit on reddit.com quite a lot, not lent out at all, even though we have 200 shares available that could be borrowed. Again, I mean, I have a small portfolio and it's just a few hundred shares, But if it would be hard to borrow in quotes, so if there would be not enough shares available for shorting, or the interest rate would be high, I would assume that at least some, if not all of my shares would also get borrowed, which is not the case, which means there is apparently either not enough demand to short it, or so either not enough demand, yeah, or simply a lot of shares available for shorting. Either way, both of that means that short sellers would have like low fees to short it if they wanted to, and could drive the price down. But it also means that it's less likely, in my opinion, that something like a short squeeze happens. Whereas on the other hand, I mean, yeah, I closed the window already, never mind. So on the other hand, if we consider GWAP with 55% interest rate or net fee rate on the lend shares, that seems like a lot of money to pay, or a lot of interest to pay to short the company, which would point towards either a lot of people shorting it, or little supply in shares available to short, which means there is, in my opinion, the possibility that eventually there is some kind of short squeeze. Yeah, one thing else I wanted to cover, I mean, we can check real quick. Let's start with costs. There we went further down than I thought. I actually thought this is our bottom point. I entered at 10. We are now at 8 something. It's perfectly fine. The auto labeling has some different opinions here and thinks we're still in wave C. Possible, considering how it developed, yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. We are now basically around the 50% retracement level. The next point would be the $7 mark. If we go below $7, I might have to start to worry, but we only hold 100 shares, so the investment is not that big. So I'm fine with that. Yeah. Now SPWR, so SunPower Corp, seems to have bottomed here. We will see if we basically can stay. I mean, it looks like we had a breakout. If we were to add a line here, like we had a breakout. So possible that this is some kind of 1-2, and now we actually start to get the upwards movement. GWAF, however, hasn't bottomed at all. There we are just in our continuous downward trend. However, one has to consider with the high interest rate that we get paid for our lent out shares, if it's not just going down because of short sellers and eventually might squeeze to the top. And yeah, now another thing I wanted to look at today would actually be, we can check the NASDAQ real quick. Okay, there is no, not 15 minutes, hourly, for example. Not what I wanted. Extension. And we're not trading the NASDAQ because the options are too expensive. But on first glance, I think we still have room to grow here, 20,800 to 20,900 in the NASDAQ for the next potential turnarounds. And if we look at SPY, there we have 4-hour chart. There we may have had a top. Actually, then, when was that? Also today, yeah. 63, 61. We didn't catch that, so we didn't trade it. I didn't check yesterday and the last couple of days. Could be that we have the next correction, so similar like we had it here. Here we caught it very well, the entry. So we got the 550 put and 549 puts here, pretty much here. But then we had that development that I didn't expect, and we got out at a small profit, but not as well as we could have. And question is, how will this here end? Hourly chart also doesn't tell much more. Daily chart probably tells even less, yeah. We went through the 3618 extension, but could that be 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4? I think we should be close to a top in terms of getting another correction, but I'm just not sure or confident enough to say that it's here right now, so we're going to stay out of this as well. And yeah, Pewdie we sold yesterday. I'm just curious how it went. Okay, yeah, so there we got in somewhere here, so made a small profit on that trade. So and Grab, there we have long-term. There we have a long-term call option. with still like months to go, or actually over a year to go. So not much we have to worry about. FFIE, so Faraday Future. Oh, they actually ended up down here. Okay, yeah. Gonna be interesting to see with them if from here we'll get our push up or not. Then that would need to be ABC, and that would be the next one too. Yeah, I mean, we turn around at the 61.8 retracement, so it points toward potentially being a pattern like 5 waves up, 3 waves down, and now we get the next 5 waves up. We hold 200 shares at the moment, and I'm actually just waiting to sell that call combination for $80 to basically get my investment back and still profit a little bit on the position. It's obviously not a high return in terms of total dollars if that plays out like that, but it's still a profitable trade if it plays out like that. We can see currently our FIVA shares are also theoretically in profit since we sold put options to get them, and the option premium was relatively nice. And what else do we have? For SPWR, we decided against selling options. Yeah, there is not much point. We are close to, yeah, I mean, we're $2.60. So just to pocket like $4 in premium or even less, $2 after commission, doesn't make sense to sell that. And longer dated options also are not very attractive. Even the longest dated one. So we see we could get $100 for a $5 call with like 550 days to go. Just doesn't seem reasonable to sell. Yeah. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So like our portfolio is unchanged. Like I announced yesterday, our capital is currently fully committed. I'm actually roughly $20 in debt, 20 euro in debt. So yeah, like basically cash balance lower than what we hold. However, that's only till tomorrow because those options will either expire worthless, and I already got the $250, but the point is I can write new options for next week, or they expire in the money and my shares get sold at 30, which fills up the cash balance. Plus I can sell put options for next week, which adds additional cash. So this month, however, has been so far not too profitable. I'm not sure. It's a pity that I cannot just hide the account number alone, but yeah, that's the best I can do. So if we look month to date, we can see that we had a bad start and basically are now at a small profit. We'll see how we end it. I mean, to be fair, even if we finish with like, I don't know, 5% at the end of the month, it's still a great overall return. 1 month performance, yeah, I mean, will change in a couple of days once we look from the 14 for 16 14 forward. But still overall, so the 1 month performance currently good, month to date performance good, year to date and so on. We unfortunately cannot check properly because that here was, as I shared in previous streams, when I just used Interactive Broker as a data source. So I only had like $500 in the account, or the minimum actually a little bit more than 500, and every month paid whatever, $20, $30, $40 in fees. So it drags down the performance because when you pay, yeah, you see from here, beginning of the month, I paid the fees for the data feeds, and it looks like a 5% loss, when in fact the whole account was only used to provide the data feeds. Yeah, so that unfortunately, yeah. Technically, so if we ignore the data feeds, which means we could add those 12% here, so we're still up 50% for the year. Although I only started trading on this account on the 16th of May, so, or actively trading. Yeah, so I've used it in the past. So here I think there was once a short period with 1 or 2 trades, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty much we're trading from here, and that's mostly data feeds, data feeds, data feeds, data feeds, data feeds, data feeds. Yeah. Anyway, can close that and switch back real quick to GameStop. Yeah, I mean, from the looks of it, I think it's likely that we will. Let's go 8 hours. It looks like we're on a strong, not strong, but on an upwards move here. And I think it's likely that we will break through here. There's a chance that we finish above 30 tomorrow, which would be, on one hand, a pity because I lose the 500 shares that I have in this portfolio. On the other hand, it still means I have then my cash unlocked again to sell put options for higher premium gains. And it also means that the shares that I have at Computer Share increase in value. So I'm kind of okay with that. perfect finish for me personally would probably be $29.99. So my call options, or the call options that I sold, expire worthless. I just pocket the premium. I still have the shares, but that would then make it harder to actually decide what kind of call to sell for next week. To either go for the maximum premium and sell an at-the-money call. So we see right now, for example, an at-the-money call would bring like $165, $167 per 100 shares. So that would bring, let's say, $150. So it would bring $750 in premium, which is not bad for a week considering the portfolio size overall. But it also risks the moment we go above 30 that at the end of the week I lose the shares and miss out on the profit on the shares. Selling a higher strike price premium, so I mean our strike price would be 30, but selling a higher strike price premium would mean we earn less in premium. But if we go higher, we also benefit at least a little from that increase. So yeah, so while from an options perspective, it would be the best if that expires out of the money. From an overall perspective, I actually would like if we finish this week slightly above 30, but not too much, so 30.01, which means I really get the maximum out of my shares. I sell them plus minus zero, since if we ignore the premiums I earned before, my average is pretty exactly at 30. And I could then sell $30 put options again for $750. Maybe even and maybe even more than 5, but maybe even 6, would have to do the math then. Either way, I think that's it for today. I know it's a short stream, but if there are no questions to look into other things, we're just back into a waiting pattern, waiting for this movement here to continue, which might happen today, might happen tomorrow, might only happen next week, or might never happen. Again, I'm just sharing my opinion. And then tomorrow we likely don't have a stream since Fridays I'm usually busy, or maybe I'll manage to come online. And so we see each other either let's switch here. So we see each other either tomorrow, if I manage it somehow, or probably on Monday. Now, last but not least, let's ask the 8-ball if GameStop will finish tomorrow above 30 or not. So will GameStop finish the week above 30? As I see it, yes. Okay, so the 8-ball thinks we'll finish above 30. We'll see if it's true tomorrow. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of the day. Best of luck to you with all your trading and investing decisions, and then see you in another episode of Daily Market